You may have noticed that car makers are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on trying to make their vehicles more efficient. They're trying to make them use less fuel so that they're better on the environment, and also they cost less to run. They're doing that in all sorts of ways, the most obvious of which are things like smaller, more efficient engines and also lighter construction. But there's one thing they can't control. Me, the driver. Well, yeah, that's sort of true. They can't control me, but they can give you some tips. And here's Audi's idea on how to help the driver save fuel. What Audi's done is taken the onboard computer and given it a few extra smarts. And the whole idea behind it is to make you a better, more efficient driver. Talk to the experts and they say that the driver alone can use 30 or 40% more fuel than you're supposed to. So clearly that is a fantastic way to not only save the environment but also save you a few bucks along the way. So how does it do it? Well, the first and most obvious way is to teach you to be in the right gear at the right time. And it does that with an indicator on the dash. Nice big number tells you what gear you're in, and if you're not in the optimum gear, another number tells you what gear you should be in. And if you're really in the wrong gear, that number goes red and big. If you're not driving correctly, it'll actually give you tips. But here is one of the most interesting things. You see this little gauge here? It tells me what ancillary features I've got operating in the car, be it the air conditioning, the rear window demister, or even the heated seats. And it gives me a bit of an idea on exactly how much fuel those systems are using. So for example, if I turn everything off, of course I'm not using any extra fuel. But if I turn the air conditioning on, you can see that takes up to something like 0.2 of a litre per hour. And if I ramp that up even more, turn the air conditioning on full blast, as you can see, apart from the fact I'm freezing, and you can probably barely hear me, but again, the dial's gone up a little bit further, telling me that I am using more fuel. Suddenly you decide you need to demist the rear windscreen. Press the button, have a look at that, more fuel again. If I engage the seat heaters, I put everything on and all of a sudden you can use something like half a litre an hour. Now you might say, half a litre an hour, so what? It's not a whole lot of fuel. And look, in the big scheme of things, it's not really. But if you start calculating it out and say that, okay, in average traffic, you're probably going to do something like 20 or 30 kilometres an hour, and all of a sudden you're using an extra half a litre of fuel. So roughly 1.5 to 2 litres of extra fuel per 100 kilometres. So you're talking something like 15 to 20 extra litres of fuel per 1,000 kilometres. And again, over the year, all of a sudden, extra 100, 200 litres of fuel, just by using some functions that you really could do without. Now today, you can't actually get this system in an Audi that you can buy in Australia, but it is coming, probably in about 2010. Even then, though, it will only be in the more economical models, the so-called E models, that are already pretty efficient. Audi's whole reasoning behind it is quite interesting. You see, essentially, they're a tiny bit nervous about how drivers are going to accept being told how to drive more efficiently. So for now, it is a bit of an experiment, a bit of a way of seeing how people react, how the public reacts to being told how to drive better. Let's face it, most Aussie blokes don't like that too much, do they?